Oh, and now it's down to 2.5. I
Interesting.
don't quite get why they were a 7-point favorite in this game. That was just, to me, Pittsburgh's got the better record. I understand they're in Baltimore. I get that. But, they got the better record. They're in first place. They're battling. Had Kansas City lost today, which they didn't, they still could have been the number one seed. I mean, to me, it was an even game. You want to give Baltimore 3 points for being at home, maybe 4, okay. But a 7-point spread, that was just so weird, that line today, Joe.
Okay, so here's my question. Both you and I believe the Steelers plus the points was the way to go. We jumped in on that. If the Steelers score on this drive, which it looks like they're going to be doing as they're driving down the field nicely, are you going to hedge here and then look at the Baltimore Ravens on the money line with what the number is coming out as? And again, we got to assume we're going to get good value because neither of us want to hedge at a minus 180. But if we're getting some value here, are you willing to hedge this one?
Normally the answer is absolutely, but I think Pittsburgh can win.
Not today.
I mentioned Lamar 1-4 against Pittsburgh, has not done well. 0-5 against the spread. The Ravens as a whole haven't done well against Pittsburgh, and with that, Russell, he fumbled the ball.
Did he lose the ball? Did he fumble the ball? Is that what we just saw? What is Russ doing? If he lost that ball, I tell you, Scott, I'm going to be furious.
Oh, I thought he was going to score. He had it inside the 5. Just fall down, Russ. Fall down. We got Joe and Najee Harris. You can hand the ball to him for 3 times. Oh, my initial possession saying Baltimore ball at their own 4. Yeah. Wow.
And we're seeing that line move to 4.5 right now for the Baltimore Ravens. So laying 4.5, but if you like the Pittsburgh Steelers, you might have got a gift if you wanted to jump in on that money line because you weren't getting plus 190 earlier, Scott, as they were driving down the field here. So could be a gift, could be disaster there for the Steelers.
Boy, that hurts. He was scrambling. They had it around the 20-yard line, 23-yard line. Made a nice move, scrambled inside the 5, got hit, fumbled the ball. Wow.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in game live. Pro Football Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another 2.5 hours or so. Colby Dant, the College Experience Podcast, joins us at the top of the hour. Talk a little NFL, a little college football with him. Joe and I keeping an eye on the 2 football games this afternoon. We'll preview the 1 college football game later on tonight, maybe at halftime of these 2 games. Take a peek at the NFL schedule for tomorrow as well. So to recap things, Pittsburgh was driving. They had it on a scramble by Russell Wilson. Got inside the 5-yard line, hit on his hip, kind of flipped sideways, lost the ball mid-air. Didn't recover it. Baltimore does, so they thwart that the Pittsburgh Steelers drive as Baltimore takes over inside their own 5-yard line. Now they got it out to the 30-yard line. So what was a minus 2.5 is now up to 4.5 as, Pittsburgh obviously is not going to score. Baltimore looks like at worst they're going to punt, from a decent territory, not like inside their 10. So we'll keep you posted on that one. And then, Joe, college football, the game 3 of our college football playoff, blowout win by Notre Dame last night for all intents and purposes outside of the final 2 minutes. Easy blowout win by Penn State this afternoon against SMU. And so far, blowout win by Texas, 21-7. They have the football down 7-0. They spotted the Tigers a 7-0 lead. They've scored 21 straight points. They have the football. 3 minutes left to go second quarter. And that's locked. And something tells me they just scored again because that line over-under popped up to 63. I got a feeling Texas just scored. I'll let you know, Joe, here in a second.
I am seeing there's actually a flag out there, Scott. There's a flag on Clemson. I saw Texas player maybe down. I just saw it very quick pop up there on that play. So it looked like Quinn Ewers threw the ball to one of his receivers, and then Clemson got the ball back, and I'm not sure what happened after that. So interesting to see where that flag came. I'm not quite sure. If you're seeing anything different, we do have a player down for Baltimore as well at the moment.
Yeah, I saw
not
that
good
play.
injuries. Hill getting hit hard.
He got upended, landed on his shoulder, head, and boy, he just went down like a sack of bricks. The Justice Hill. It's not that the hit was that bad. He's kind of running up the sidelines, tried to leap over a little bit of player, and the player undercut him. So he went flying a little bit, just landed sideways. Normally you see that play, no big deal, but that's all it takes sometimes. You just land the wrong way. So he kind of landed on his shoulder, head, and man, he just went down. Didn't move. No, that's we may be looking at that for a little while here. So with 8:52 left, we'll keep you posted on that. Yeah. So with the Texas 1 touchdown, Clemson, I'm guessing defensive touchdown because Texas had the ball. Was that a pick 6 or a fumble return? I'll flip the game on here. But all of a sudden, a 21-7 Texas lead, and not necessarily driving, but at least with the football turns into – now they've taken it off the board. FanDuel has. All right. So Clemson has the ball at their own 46-yard line.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the game. It's kind of in pause right now. There was an injury out there on the field, so everyone's just walking around right now. But Clemson did intercept that ball. I'm not sure where that flag came from. They did run it back into the end zone, and it looks like they're starting off this drive here. And, yeah, they didn't count that touchdown, Scott. So not exactly sure what happened on that one. We'll have to have a look at the break because that was a big call.
Yeah, I'm not sure how close. I didn't see it either. I'm just flipping back and forth with the other and doing the show here. So all I did see was FanDuel post 13 on the board for Clemson points, but they took that down pretty quickly. So 21-7 it appears. Texas leading Clemson. 2:40 left to go. 19 is the point total, and 56.5 is your over-under. At least you know what it'll go to. If they do score, it's going to be 63.5 because that's what it was when it looked like they were going to count the touchdown initially. So I tell you, if you're Clemson, if you get it to halftime, I know they get the ball first, or they don't. The Texas gets the ball first to start the second half. I get that, but boy, as crazy as this first half has been, if you can get it to halftime, even down 21-7, maybe 21-10, kick a field goal here, it's not the worst thing in the world. At least kind of get your bearings straight, figure out what's going on. You haven't really stopped Texas except for this last possession. And it's a close game, obviously. But anything within 2 scores is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're still giving us a spread of 19.5 in this one, though, Scott, with a 21-7 game. 19.5 is a lot of points here for Texas, especially when Clemson is driving in this on on this drive. So 56 and a half, that total. I don't think, did you ever look at this game and see Clemson being able to get an upset? Because I didn't.
No.
Yeah, me too.
I thought they could keep it close, but I didn't think they would actually be able to win outright. So 2-minute warning or 2-minute timeout, 21-7, Clemson, no drive.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're bringing Baltimore good luck. They've scored 2 touchdowns both times when we've been in breaks. They just scored on another Lamar Jackson touchdown pass. This one going to who was it, Joe? Made a hell of a catch. Oh, Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman from the catch out there. Again, first reception. Scott, his first reception gets the touchdown. So who doesn't have a reception out here? Is Lamar just looking for those players that Baltimore isn't covering, right? Because we've seen it, both of these guys with the touchdown on their first reception. So it's kind of interesting to look at that.
The play before, as I know you saw, went off the fingertips of Andrews. It would have been a really good catch. It wasn't like he dropped it or anything, but they did dump it to him, and he couldn't make the catch. Otherwise, he would have gotten your touchdown. So
it's pain, straight pain there.
Yeah. But he is throwing the ball. This is goofy John Harbaugh. To me, I'm running the ball. Derrick Henry, I get inside the 10-yard line, but that's not what Harbaugh does. He likes to throw the football. This one was actually at the 14. So at least you have you got a fighting chance here with Harbaugh's thinking. So 14-7. By the way, before I get to the number, I had a football fantasy league dilemma today. I had Lamar Jackson. And I was actually considering benching him, Joe. And I know, most people would say, what are you, nuts? You bet, we've been riding Lamar the whole way to the semifinals here, right? But I also have Baker Mayfield as my backup. So It's a little late now because clearly the answer is Lamar Jackson. But what do you think? Lamar Jackson versus Pittsburgh's great defense, and his worst game of the year came against Pittsburgh early this season, or Baker against the Carolina Panthers, or against the Dallas Cowgirls, even worse?
See, Dallas has turned things around with Micah Parsons back in the lineup defensively. And I can't trust Baker. Baker one game is fantastic. Baker in another game can be fantastic. Baker in that third game, you never know what you're going to get. So I love you played Lamar. I think it's so much smarter than Baker.
Yeah, listen, I would say the chances of me not playing Lamar were about 20%. Like I did really, and I don't know if guys who do this for a living, like really serious fantasy $1,000 leagues or whatever, would really break it down game by game. But if I decided to bench him, which is probably the smart thing to do when you just look at the matchups, but if I would have done that and Lamar throws for 3 touchdowns and he's on, he's 2 touchdowns already and has a monster game, I'd be like kicking myself. What am I, an idiot? So I'll live with myself if Lamar didn't have a good game. And so far, he's off to a halfway decent game. So 2 touchdown passes, decent amount of runs. So, but it did make me think. I will, okay, I asked my daughter, she's the wise guy in all this stuff. She did the draft and everything. I said, what do you think, Ash? You want to bench Lamar? So we both kind of said the same thing, like, nah, we better not. So
we got a field goal on the board, Scott.
Okay.
Field goal.
Right, there you go. Clemson field goal. So they were driving, cuts the lead to 21-10. We figured they were good for at least a field goal there. So still a couple of minutes left to go in the first half. So still time for Texas. A minute 33, I'll say. 32-yard field goal. So 21-10. That's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know if Clemson necessarily would have taken that, knowing they had a 7-0 lead at one point. But if they can get into halftime down only 11 points, Texas does get the ball first to start the second half. But still, if you can get out of this thing down only 11, you get 19.5 on that game with the over-under 56.5. And again, you're at 31 points. And both teams have really done a decent job moving the football. I keep on saying it, but I'm still a little surprised that the line is as low as it is. I guess, Joe, they're thinking the Texas defense all of a sudden is going to kick in, or the Texas offense is going to revert back to, Quinn Ewers not being any good. But from what I've seen so far, I think this is going to go over 56.5, and I was one with the under 50.5. The Baltimore game, that lines up to 8.5 now, back over the touchdown spread, and the over-under is 48.5 with Pittsburgh with the ball at their own 35-yard line.
Scott, from what I'm seeing, the books are expecting Clemson to struggle to continue to score here because their team total is still sitting at that 17.5 that it was pregame coming into this one. We've seen Clemson's team total go all the way up to 38.5. So Clemson under the 17.5 is coming in at minus 128. And this is a team that's been able to put 10 points on the board so far in this first half. So I'm really hoping Texas's defense can limit them because they did ride that 17.5 to the under coming into this game. But I am a little shocked the books haven't moved this to a 19.5. That's what this line was originally at the start of the week. It was a 19.5 for Clemson. It got bet down to 17.5, and the books are just sitting nice and solid on it.
If it gets to 16.5, like under that 17, I would be all over Clemson because the way they played so far, to me, it looks like they're capable of getting at least the touchdown, if not just get a regular. I mean, that would be like worst case scenario. So we will see. Texas with the ball at their own 35-yard line. Pittsburgh 3rd and 6 at their own 34. Interesting. They got Russell Wilson interception props, Joe, right? So we talked about it, obviously. So I've kept it up here. So I'm monitoring it here. And Lamar's over, a half, meaning get one is plus 250. Russell getting one is down to, well, they just suspended it, but it was down to plus 118. I mean,
which is
for
crazy.
A game that's approaching halftime. Yeah, right? That is a super low number. They know he's an interception waiting to happen.
Right? And they're trailing, so they're down. They have to throw the ball. They just can't run the ball and eat up clock. So, yeah, that is crazy. Plus 118 only. I would have thought it would have moved. It should have moved in the opposite direction, Scott. We should be getting plus 180. Or is it just everyone's coming in and betting it and the books are going, Man, we can't take any more money on this interception prop. And they won't give you the 2+ right now. Yeah, it could be it.
I mean, it was, his number was pretty close to Lamar's. That they were both right around 150, 140 or so, right? And Lamar, as I mentioned, is plus 250. So if Lamar's is plus 250 right now, you would think Russell's would be the same. That or they saw him get banged up on that play, but he is in there playing. He's not in any position to get pulled, or he's throwing the football. But I think they just think he's an interception waiting to happen. I guess you're right. Someone's listening to the show and put a bundle on the interception for over Wilson. So they're like, we don't want any more of that. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I would do that if I was the books as well, because he's in this case where he has not been playing solid out there. He just got buried again by the Baltimore defense here. So he's in trouble out there in this game. I really question if Justin Fields will be seen in this one, Scott. But we talked in the break, at what point would we have Justin Fields step out on the field? And I don't think Mike Tomlin's willing to do that. I don't think he's willing to bench Russ in this game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We haven't seen him in a little while. Maybe one or two plays here or there. I may have missed over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but as far as really any kind of extended time doing series, I thought there was a chance that maybe they would flip series every once in a while and really keep Justin involved, but he hasn't. Basically since Russ has been completely healthy, it's been his show. He said it would be. He said basically the whole time it would be. Then they kept on winning other fields. And he kind of threw it open that maybe, just maybe, he would keep it. But this was, I don't know if there were, under the table handshake deals, promises made. You signed with us. I'm sure Russell, more so than Fields, had opportunities, to sign with some teams. And I'm guessing it was like, okay, if I'm going to sign with you, Pittsburgh, you got to promise I'm going to play. So,
and we have a touchdown on the board, Scott. Touchdown on the board. Can you guess who it is? Texas. Gunnar Helm for the touchdown. Ooh. Beautiful passing touchdown from Quinn Ewers.
Wow. We got the worst of Quinn Ewers against Georgia a few weeks back, and we're getting the best of him seemingly today. 27-10 pending the extra point. We'll update the numbers for that.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all, because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back. It is in-game live Pro Football Game Day here on the grid. Both games approaching halftime, one a little bit closer than the other. We'll start in the NFL. Baltimore 14-7. They have the football. Steelers had the punt, so Ravens got it at their own 41-yard line. 4 minutes and change left to go first half. Point spread 9.5, over under 47.5. We're just keeping a keen eye on the interception prop. They've taken the Lamar one off because he's got the ball right now. Russell Wilson only plus only 118. I find that a bit down. It's plus 122, but still I find that amazing. Texas kicked the extra point on that last touchdown pass by Ewers from 19 yards out. So they've taken a commanding 28-10 lead. 25.5 is your spread. 62.5 now is finally your totaled. And Joe, I think with 6 seconds left in the first half, so barring something crazy here, that'll be your halftime score. You're at 38 points. It's taken them a long, long time. And I still, don't necessarily think that the number on this Clemson-Texas game is right. I mean, you're at 38 points. They're giving you 62.5, so you need 63. So that's 38, touchdown 45, touchdown 52, touchdown 59. You need 4 touchdowns. You've gotten 5 and a field goal first half. Clemson, like I said, is good for an by the way. I still think it's down to 60.5. Boy, I don't know. There must be a ton of money bet on the under, but I don't see it. I know when to bail. I like the under to start the game, but I didn't think Clemson would have 10 points at halftime, and I certainly didn't think Texas would have 28. I figured this to be 13-3, 13-6, something along those lines, the way this Texas offense has been playing so poorly of late. But we're at 38 points. I still think that's a good number, 60.5 right now.
Scott, the books are absolutely refusing to get off of Clemson's team total. It's still sitting at 17.5. The juice to the under 17.5 just got as high as minus 168. It just dropped down to minus 152. So they are dead set on Clemson at 17.5. I'm shocked they're not moving off this number, but they keep moving off of Texas's. They're trusting in Texas to put up those points. If you want to take Texas over 42.5, you're going to have to lay a lot of juice there. It went up to minus 150. It's now back down to minus 144. So it's interesting when you look at this total, what the books are thinking. The books really thinking Clemson lucked out to get that first touchdown. But if this does move, you said 16.5 is where you take Clemson to the over?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's where I'm going to circle because, like I said, down 18, worst case scenario, it's going to still be down 18, right? 28-10, fourth quarter, 3-4 minutes left. I think Klubnik is good enough. The Clemson offense is good enough to get the by the way touchdown. So it'll probably be a while before it gets under that 17 number. There's a reason why it's 17 and change or even 18. That means you need 2 touchdowns. You're down 18 points. Would they go for 2? You're down 18. Touchdown would make it 12. There would be no real reason to. You think you'd want to kick the extra point to make it an 11-score game. This way, a field goal is still in play. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about them scoring a touchdown and then going for 2 if you get that 16.5. So that's as I play it out in my mind here. Sometimes it's obvious that they would go for 2. Other times not, and I don't think it is. I think, this has been, I've watched mostly Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Joe, and the score's not indicative. 18, if you told me Texas lead by 18 at halftime, I'm like, all right, another blowout. But, Clemson's been competitive. They've moved the ball. They just can't stop Texas. That's what I'm most surprised about. They just, this Texas offense with Ewers has been awful. I mean, just awful the last couple of weeks. People talking about benching him and starting Manning and stuff, and they look good so far.
Yeah, they've really looked solid out there. You look at Quinn Ewers, he's gone 11 of 14 for 141 passing yards so far in this game. Now, he has thrown 1 touchdown and 1 interception, but Cade Klubnik as well has thrown the touchdown and the interception out there. There is no interception props that we can bet on, but if you can, off your book, I would look at Cade Klubnik to throw another one out here, Scott, because they are trailing in this game. I think he's going to have to take those risks in the second half to try to get this game tighter than it is. And I love looking at the quarterbacks to throw those interceptions in those cases. Is there anyone else for Clemson that you'd want to look at here for their receiving yards to the over as they try to get back in this game in the second half?
Yeah, I like that thinking a lot, Joe, with Klubnik with the second INT. Where there's one, there's two. And the second one is like kids. You pop one out. Okay, you know what? The other one's coming sooner or later. So I think Kane is good for a second INT, whether it's a Hail Mary at the end of the game, forcing the ball in because you just got to get rid of it on fourth down. Something goofy like that. This is kind of like the ideal spot for that second INT. A team that's down, 3 scores, it's going to have to throw the football a lot. We'll be going for it on fourth down. We'll be told don't take sacks, just throw the ball up, get rid of it. Let's give ourselves a fighting chance. It really is like here in New York again. They don't offer player props in college games, but if your site does have it, I would same thing, Joe. I would be all over Klubnik's second interception, and you're probably getting decent odds on that, right?
Yeah, we can't get it on FanDuel, but anyone that can get it on any other book, I'd definitely look at it. But it brings me to my favorite prop. You know which one it is. The defensive touchdown here out of Texas on that pick six. That's only at plus 750 now, Scott. Coming into the day, you are getting plus 850 on Texas for the defensive touchdown. So the books are thinking this defense is really going to give him a hard time in the second half.
Texas does get the ball first to start the third quarter. So with that in mind, you could take Clemson plus 3.5 third quarter. Texas laying 3.5. I'm thinking, even though Texas does get the ball first, but I'm thinking Clemson, the game's on the line. Dabo's reading the riot act. This is it, play well or go home. Rah, 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 the whole Newt Rockney situation. I might be inclined to take Texas plus 3.5. It's a big number. Minus 106, no necessarily juice to that. Again, you got to make some stops, but I might be inclined. If you want to dabble on a little something goofy, I think Clemson plus the 3.5 for the third quarter, and that probably would be 2.5 or 1.5 if they weren't kicking off to start the second half. But I think that's worth a halfway decent shot. Nothing crazy, but just halfway decent. So.
Yeah, their hopes and dreams are in this third quarter, right? Like if they let the third quarter get away from them, they know they're dead in the water.
Yeah, that's it. All right, close that hour number 2 next here on the Grid.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
happen again. We go to break and Baltimore scores. If it was up to Baltimore, I think we'd have a break every 2 minutes. 17-7 this time, a field goal, Joe. 51 yards from Justin Tucker, who's had his struggles this year. That is for sure. This has not been a classic Justin Tucker year, but he comes through here. Nice 50-plus yarder, 51-yarder to make it 17-7 with a minute and a half left now. A minute with Pittsburgh with the ball. Now down 10. FanDuel updated lines. We got Baltimore laying 9.5, over under 47.5, and then money line if you're interested. Baltimore's minus 10-1, and then Pittsburgh is plus 560, which is not if you're going to put a little hunch in, maybe Baltimore or Pittsburgh scores here. They did get the ball first to start the game, so Baltimore would get the ball to start the second half. But if you wanted to play the hedging game, you grab them now plus the 560. You hope they score, and you need Baltimore to be less than a 560 favorite somewhere along the line.
Yeah, and they're hurrying up here, trying to get some points on the board as they drive down this field. Scott, the defense of Baltimore is playing so strong, though. They are really hitting this team hard, and I expected more out of the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's interesting to see what we've got happening out there as Russ is trying his best, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done in this game here versus this defense. This defense is just playing for their it looks like they're playing for more than they're really playing for. You know what? They're playing for a lot here, but if they win today, they clinch a playoff spot. But it looks like they're playing for, huge titles in how the defenses come out.
Yeah, it's been a rough go here. Pittsburgh was sitting in the driver's seat for sure just last week before their game. They had a 3-game lead or two-game lead. But they lose to Philadelphia. I mean, no shame in that. Now you can lose to Baltimore. Get no necessarily shame in that. And all of a sudden, a 2-game lead is now down to even. You split your season series, then it would go to division record. And I think that would be the same at this point right now as well. So, yeah, they would both be 3-2 in the division. If that stays that way, 4-2, they both finish with wins. Then it would go to conference record. Pittsburgh at this point would be 7-3 in the conference, so they would still hold a slight lead, the head-to-head tiebreaker over Baltimore. So they do got a game to give, but you know who their next opponent is? Kansas City. So, after the case, and it'll be their third game in 11 days because it's on a short week, so they're playing Christmas. So this has been like 2 weeks ago, sitting in high heaven, and 2 weeks later, 3 games later, they might be sitting in a wild card spot, and that's big in the AFC North, Joe. Because if you win the division, you're not getting a bye, but you are getting a home game, at least one, if not 2. You get in as the wild card. That means you got 3 straight road games, and you're talking about winning in Buffalo, winning in Pittsburgh, maybe or Baltimore, depending on if you're the other team, winning in Kansas City. That's a tough gauntlet come playoff time, to win 3 straight on the road.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Right. And so you look at them here, the Steelers really need to limit Lamar. They have to find a way to shut him down and shut down the run game here of the Baltimore Ravens. You look at Lamar, though, he's only 8 for 15 for 89 yards in this game. So 2 passing touchdowns, though. They need to be able to get something done in the red zone, not allowing Lamar to convert. When we look at Russell Wilson, he's 12 of 16 for 110 yards. 1 touchdown so far. He has been sacked twice out there on 15 pressures. So they're moving the ball again down the field. Do you think on this one, we can see the Baltimore Ravens put up some sort of points? There's seconds left in this first half, Scott, and I was just jumping to see what those points we're looking at.
Yeah, they just kicked. We got a little Pittsburgh scoring update here, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, nice job by the Steelers. They move the ball down the field after Baltimore kicks a 51-yarder. Pittsburgh responds with a 51-yarder themselves. How about that? So 17-10, Baltimore leads at halftime. A rare, basically right down the middle there. So a rare, relatively high-scoring game for Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's amazing. We start right back to where we were to start the game. Baltimore favored by 7.5. Over under a little bit higher, 49.5. And the money line, if you grab Pittsburgh, plus that 560 money line, all right, now they're only plus 420, and now Baltimore's only minus 650. So the idea is to get Baltimore to be less than a 560 favorite, and then you can hedge if you want a little bit. So, but Baltimore leading 17-10 at the half. Colby Dan, College Experience Podcast, joins us next, hour number 3 coming up.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all, because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, Pro Football Game Day here on the grid, doing a little college football as well. With that, Scott and Joe for the next 2 hours here on the grid as we welcome in our first guest of the afternoon/evening, Colby Dan. Check out his podcast, the College Experience Podcast, on all your favorite little podcast homes. Colby, what's going on, my friend? How are you on this Saturday afternoon?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, it's just you're blending all these different sports. It's you don't have enough TVs. It's it's fantastic. It's a good problem to have, but at the same time, we could have spread it out a little bit more over the week, right? Because I feel like every firing away, but I'm doing good.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great day in football. We've got Clemson and Texas at the halftime right now, Kobe. And I want to know what you like going into this and if you see an opportunity to jump in as Texas is up 28-10. And Scott and I have been talking about it all game. The books are really reluctant to move off that team total of Clemson at 17.5. It has not budged. We've seen that total for Texas floating around all the way up to like a 42.5. What are you thinking on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I took Clemson in the points. I even sprinkled some on the money line, and that's not looking good. But I did take the over, which is looking good. And, I think if you look at that first half, Texas was certainly the better team, but not by that much when it comes to a statistical standpoint. I mean, Clemson's got to be better on third downs, but, just 2 for 7 on third down. I thought they'd be a little bit better against Texas's defense. But when you look at it, okay, Texas has like 100-yard advantage, if that interception here or the some of those penalties I thought were killer. But I don't think the money line is live anymore. You're down 18 on the road. But I do think they could potentially still cover. But I see you can get 24.5 right now. And I got to be honest, I think I'm going to jump in on that because I think that number is just a little bit off. I expect Clemson to be able to come in and at least they had some success They just need to finish these drives and don't let these penalties kill you. I mean, some of the penalties, I don't know. I just, the targeting rules I think are just ridiculous these days. But I just think they could stay within that number at 24.5. But the over is definitely in play. And the team total you said remains the same. I would jump on that.
Yeah, Joe and I were talking about the over, and I was one that was on the under from the outset. I didn't think this would be a high-scoring game. I figured 21-10, 21-17, something like that. But that said, it's 28-10, and we're only at halftime. They seem reluctant to bump that up. I mean, we're at 38 points. We're well past the halfway point. It's a blowout game, which generally leads to less intensity. You're generally good for an, oh, by the way, touchdown. I mean, I'm a little surprised that it's only 60.5.
Yeah, me too. I would think the same too. And you also got to wonder if it gets one more score for Texas, do they bring in Arch Manning? Do they? So I would say that the over is definitely the play for me. And what's crazy about this whole entire weekend is I feel maybe I misjudged from a handicapping point of view. These home environments are insane. So I think the SMU game I didn't have a great feel for, but I liked Clemson pretty strongly with the points just because I thought there was no pressure on them and I thought they were more complete than a lot of the teams they played from an offense and defensive standpoint. But one of the things, college football, even more so than the NFL, has unbelievably tough environments. So you get 2 weeks to prep where you can do everything. I think this is something we're going to see moving forward. That it's going to be incredibly hard for these road teams to win unless you're playing USC or something where the crowd's not all USC. You know what I mean? I watching the Penn State game today. What's crazy is I don't even think SMU. The turnovers killed them, but I almost think the crowd. SMU was moving the ball some. The crowd has been such a huge factor. Even in last night's game, I felt like if Indiana had got that first score, maybe the crowd would have been quieted some and maybe they would have been able to actually sustain some stuff there and make Notre Dame come from behind. But the home environments, I think, have been the story this weekend. And part of the reason why I know the next game, I think I'm going to jump on the home team.
I think you have to jump on the Buckeyes here off that loss to Michigan. Ryan Day and Chip Kelly have to come out with a strong game plan. So they're laying 7.5 here versus Tennessee. We got a total of 46.5. Where are you going to go? Are you going to lay the points? You're going to look at team totals. You're going to look at the total for the full game. Fade Tennessee completely with their team total. What do you think the best way to isolate this game is?
Yeah, I like a lot. I like the team total under for Tennessee. I like the under in the game a lot, just because I think both defenses are really good. Ohio State's offensive line, I know it's been a huge headline this week. They haven't been that good, and that's true. Michigan was able to push them around. I thought Oregon had some success with them too. Nebraska had some success with them. I expect Tennessee's defensive line to negate a lot of their rushing attack, but I don't think this has been talked about enough is Tennessee's offensive line is not great. And I think Ohio State has a very good defensive line. So I expect, Tennessee's rushing attack, which is pretty much 80% of their offense because their passing attack hasn't been much this year. I think they're going to get really limited there. And then that might force Tennessee to a turnover. I actually took a shot on, I think it was 15-1. I got to pull it up again, but on a defensive score in this game by Ohio State. If you're looking for prop market, that's a great play. But I got Ohio State winning this. I think it's going to be something like 24-6. I don't think Tennessee's going to be able to move the ball much. And I think, moving forward, when it comes to the playoffs, I think everyone's got to be focusing more and more on the home environments. I know they say Tennessee fans got a lot of tickets. I'm still going to be shocked if they have even 30% of the crowd, because I know I've been to the Horseshoe. That place is hardcore. It's religious there, Ohio State. So I think Ryan Day and company, coming off the Michigan loss, they're going to be able to get some of their receivers open. I think they're going to be a little more aggressive. I think that loss to Michigan, half of it was psychological in my opinion. They didn't try to get their big play weapons out on the outside. And I think they've had a couple weeks to think about that, and they get that done and accomplish that today. So I like laying that number, and I love the under too.
Back to you were saying about the home field advantage. One of the guys on TV, I forget which guy said it, otherwise I'd give him credit, said that you could fit 3 times as many fans from SMU into Penn State's facility. I'm like, no, that can't be. There's got to be restrictions. I know there's minimums, or at least there used to be for home fields. But I looked it up. Where SMU plays, they only see 32,000. They're seating 90,000 at Penn State, Colby. So he was right. Whichever said it, you could put. They're playing in front of 3 times as many people. I mean, that has just got to be a daunting experience for the first time for these kids.
I mean, I'll be honest. If you take away those interceptions, I kind of thought SMU was playing better in the first half.
Yes.
Like they were moving the ball and actually playing good defense. But that's another thing to factor in is like not only these home environments where it's like SMU's a small little private school and the stadium is that much bigger, but these stadiums are much bigger than NFL stadiums. You play, most of these stadiums most of the big blue blood programs, their stadiums can fit like 100,000. Some of them more than that. So you look at the NFL, I feel like there's a lot of stadiums that are like 65, 70,000. It's got to be a big hand. Like I wish in hindsight, and I think moving forward next year, I'm going to just favor the home teams greatly and give them a bigger curve than normal because you get more weeks to prep, and it's like a bowl game, was completely different for them. Bowl games, you come in, I feel like it's kind of a celebration. Now it's like you get 2 weeks, you're at home, and you add in the weather to it too. And that's another element. I think that's why SMU struggled so much is they're not used to that being that cold. So, but yeah, I think Ohio State will be the play here. And I know Tennessee, it gets a little cold, but I think Ohio cold is a little bit different than Tennessee cold.
Oh,
Colby, you got a minute? We're at halftime of the game. You got a couple of seconds? Colby Dan, College Experience Podcast. And we come back.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, Pro Football Game Day. Talking some college football here with Colby. Dan, check out his podcast, the College Experience Podcast, your favorite podcast, Holmes. We're just starting the second half in both the games, but we're going to spend a couple of more minutes with Colby. Check out some of the lines already for next week, week and a half week's games. But before we get to that, even Colby, where do you reside? Indiana gets dominated last night. SMU gets dominated this afternoon. When everything is said and done, Texas might end up winning this thing by, certainly by 2 touchdowns, if not 3 or more. People are already coming out saying, see, Indiana didn't belong. SMU didn't belong. Does that mean less teams or maybe even more teams the next time they discuss this stuff versus eliminating teams?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you say Indiana doesn't belong. I mean, I understand they got beat down, but I'm saying they went 11-1 in one of the TV crazy new conferences where there's a billion teams. So this is going to continue to happen where, Syracuse was almost in this year. If Syracuse had not tripped up against Stanford, they would have played in the ACC championship. Maybe they get in, but a lot of that was based off of a weak schedule. It's going to happen some of these years because when you add more and more teams the SEC only plays an 8-game conference schedule, you're just going to have certain teams that are going to miss out on the top competition. So, but I don't know how you fix that. To me, you go 11-1, you go 11-1. You deserve to be in, even if you lose. Now, I think there's a bigger case that would be made of why is Indiana on the road at 11-1 when Texas is at home at 11-1 and Texas had no ranked wins. So, you're telling me if you give Indiana a home game, I think that completely changes the game potentially. We've seen these home environments and what they do. Now, I don't know, maybe Notre Dame goes in there and wins, and I'm not saying Notre Dame didn't deserve a home game, but, I think we just need to relax a little bit and see this play out a little bit more before, another thing is we have just the changing landscape of the sport with NIL and the transfer portal. I expect the game to be more and more even as the years prolong. Now that SMU has a shot or Boise has a shot or Indiana has a shot, I think they're only going to funnel more money into that program in those programs and other programs that were just on the outside, and potentially long-term that could be all the difference in the world. But I definitely think, SEC fans, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky, a 5-7 team who was not good. You were 18-point favorites at home. I'm sorry, Lane Kiffin, you can tweet as much as you want. I don't feel sorry for you. Indiana deserved that more than you, in my opinion. Because even though Indiana was playing a bad schedule, we didn't know that coming in the year. They played Michigan and Washington. When that schedule was released in November, you're saying, hey, those are the 2 teams that play for the national championship, and they play Ohio State. So that looked like a tough schedule. You don't know until it all shakes out. You can't control the other teams and what they do. So,
and look at Penn State's schedule, Colby. Look at Penn State's schedule, too. It's not like they played a whole bunch of great teams. There's a lot of teams that played cupcake schedules that are just known teams, so they're going to get the respect that the Indianas and the SMUs of the world don't.
When you have a subdivision with 136 teams and you have conferences that are full of 18 teams, 17 teams, 16 teams, it's only gonna it's unavoidable. That's why, in my opinion, the real answer, in my opinion, would be to make the playoffs larger, because you need to cast a big enough net to get the right teams in because the schedule discrepancy is so big.
Even larger, hey? Well, it looks like Clemson has held Texas off the board. Texas tried to go for the field goal. I do believe it was they did get it. They got the field goal on the board, 31-10. It kind of looked like it was missed out there watching that game. But Kobe, I want to ask you about Penn State. We saw that big win over SMU. We know the defense came out big. They're a 10.5-point favorite versus Boise State. Moving on. Are you looking already at Boise State in that one, or do you think Penn State is a nice look to continue rolling with momentum?
I think it's going to be fascinating to watch and see the teams if the bye week hurts them or not. You see that happen in the NFL so often, where the week off actually comes at your own detriment. But my first thought would be give me the points, just because you're away. The home field advantage in college football. Like, imagine if the NCAA tournament did this in basketball. You would never see these upsets. Very rarely would you see these upsets if at Cameron Indoor Stadium or something. Well, that's essentially what we're doing with college football. So now you get Penn State away from their home environment. And, in Arizona, I believe it is. So Boise will probably have half that crowd. I think I like the points there. I think that's where maybe I was off. I think more dogs will hit potentially next week than this week because of those home environments. So Boise with Ashton Jeanty. And I also believe, they went toe-to-toe with Oregon. Boise did. They probably should have beat Oregon if it wasn't for 2 crazy kick returns. I think they can play with Penn State there. So you go back to the SMU game. If SMU doesn't turn the ball over, which credit to Penn State, but they had that 4th and 1, then they had the 3 interceptions, and SMU was actually kind of moving the ball some. You wonder how many points Penn State would have had offensively. So if Boise just is a little more conservative and take better care of the ball, I think Boise will have a chance to be in this game. So give me the points.
How about Georgia? How about Georgia with a backup quarterback, 1.5 point favorite over Notre Dame?
I like the Irish here. You're telling me you're getting a backup quarterback. Like Notre Dame's defense was super impressive against Indiana. Now I know Georgia, will have 2 weeks to prep, and I do believe Kirby Smart with 2 weeks to prep is very dangerous from a defensive standpoint. But their offense, to me, they've lost so many receivers and tight ends to the NFL, and then the other ones to, being arrested or kicked off the team for other reasons. They struggle to really have big play threats offensively. And now you're throwing in the backup quarterback who did not look very good in the short time that we saw him. Notre Dame's defense without Golden, I think, can dial up something to really make Georgia's offense struggle. I like Notre Dame there. I know the crowd might be there because it's in New Orleans. I think it might be a Georgia crowd, but I think Notre Dame is in a very good spot to get another gigantic win for that program.
Well, that would be something. That really would be something. Colby, great job as always, my friend. So 23.5. You still kind of like Clemson down 21, right? And then over under 57.5. So we'll keep your fingers crossed on your bets on the Clemson Tigers. Maybe they can do something crazy here in the second half. So good job, bud. Appreciate it. Check out his podcast, the College Experience Podcast. Great college football and college basketball. We've got it all on the pod.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live Pro Football Game Day here on the grid. Again, thanks to Colby Dant, the College Experience podcast, joining us as he does from time to time here on the grid, spending some time during halftime of these games. Both games now have started the third quarter. Got some points scored in the Clemson-Texas game. As I mentioned, I think before we went to break there, Texas did kick the field goal. They were driving. They had a 4th and 4. They decided to go for the field goal, which was good. So 31-10. What do we got? 5.5 minutes left to go in the third. So Clemson's got the ball, but they're already 3 and out. They're going to punt the ball away. So 24.5 now the line there, Joe. 55.5 is your over under. Clemson hasn't been able to put they got the field goal before the first half, but other than that, it was at the opening drive touchdown for Clemson, and that's been it. I mentioned that, I think during the break, I've seen teams plenty of times watching this stuff be able to move the ball right down the field on their opening drive. Looks like it's going to be gravy, and then it just kind of shuts down after that. And that's not that they necessarily have shut it down, but the bottom line is they only have 3 more points since then. Pittsburgh gets the ball in the second half here. Baltimore had it, a couple of first downs, but the drive stalls. So Steelers with the ball. Now they're about to punt. Quick 3 and outs here. So 4th and 2 at the Baltimore 38-yard line. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll kick a field goal or go for it here. But Baltimore laying 7.5 and 43.5 as the number there kind of continues to creep a little bit lower.
Well, they have given you that magical number that you were looking for, Scott, on Clemson's team total. It has dropped down to that 16.5. You're going to have to lay juice, though, to the over 16.5. It's at minus 125. With what you just saw on that drive, though, is that something you're still looking at? Because I expected them in this third quarter to come out as strong as they possibly could. Now, we did see that on the defense. To hold only Texas to a field goal was really impressive with what they were able to do, because Texas, was 1st and goal, basically, in that situation in the red zone. So Clemson's defense stepped up. But can you trust here in Clemson offensively to be able to come out and get those points on the board? I just don't know if I can.
Here's why I would, because there'll be no more field goals out of Clemson. So don't worry about only getting 3 points. Down 21 midway through the third quarter. I really doubt they would be kicking field goals anymore at this point. So you're going to get 4 downs in order to get a first down. If they get inside Texas territory, that helps your situation some. And again, worst comes to worst, it's 31-10, 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left. Clemson gets the ball and I think is capable of getting an touchdown. So it's a little juicy, minus 125, now minus 130 I'm seeing on FanDuel. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I'll take less profit, whatever you're willing to bet. If it was minus 110, just bet the same and just, you win a couple of hours less. I think they get one more touchdown. I really do. I'd be surprised if they didn't get that, by the way, or, as long as, no one gets hurt or anything goofy like that. I think they do get that, Joe. Yeah.
Do you think Texas is able to put up 7.5 more points? So 8 more points. Their total 38.5. It's minus 138 to the under. It plus 104 to the over. You've got to think Texas has to come out and put some more points. Nicely moving the ball down the field. Yes, held to a field goal. I wouldn't write them off not getting another touchdown in the second half. Yeah. I would think a touchdown and a field goal, right? Like 10 more points out of Texas, I'm looking at.
And here's why. They would be like FanDuel anyway, God bless them. They give you alternate totals even now in game. So they have, 31 points now, right? So here's the little ace in your back pocket with Texas. Clemson is down 3 scores. It's still a game. It's not a 4 or 5 score game. Point being, Clemson's not going to be punting the ball from their own 30-yard line, we'll say, 4th and 5 with 7 minutes left, right? I mean, no reason to do that. So they're going to be going for it. So there might be a possession with Texas where you're going to have a very short field just because Clemson is forced to be going for it. So knowing that's in your back pocket, again, I hate to play all these overs because I thought it was going to be an under game, but it's not played out that way. It's not an under game at this point, 31-10, although I'm still holding out hope. I'm not ripping up that ticket, but I think, Clemson, because of that, you got a little extra bonus. Can Clemson, basically get 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes left to go in the third? I think, It'd be nice to get that under, 10.5, get it at 9.5. So a touchdown and a field goal, that would be like that circle number. Absolutely. So you may want to hold off for that. But ultimately, I do think they get 2 more. So,
Okay.
But it looks like they're going to have to punt the ball away right now, leading 31-10. All right, in-game live, Pro Football. We'll take a look at the Steelers and Ravens game when we come back.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Pro Football Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another hour and a half or so, watching 2 games, the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh on the move, and obviously Texas and Clemson in the college football playoff game number 3 after having 2 blowouts so far. Third one, really, Texas leading 31-10 as they played late third quarter. Pittsburgh, though, just as we speak, the Steelers, I think we got an update there. Do we not, fellas? Wait for a little sound.
Maybe not.
No? Maybe not?
No.
Okay.
We do.
We do. Touchdown Steelers. So Russell Wilson with a touchdown pass. So with the extra point, there we go. So with the extra
Just
point
waiting for
is
full
good.
confirmation.
There you go. 17 all. How about that? This is why who caught the ball? Oh, yeah, they kind of bobbled it there a little bit, but he caught it. Who's 84 on the Steelers? I'll have to look at the box score here.
Patterson? Was it Patterson?
Yes, it was. That's exactly who it was. So Cordarrelle Patterson. Well, he's bounced around the league. He's on a Pittsburgh. I didn't even know he's on a Pittsburgh Steelers. I got to tell you, I really didn't even know he was on the Steelers. He's been one of those guys. Started out years ago in Minnesota, went to New England, went with Falcons, And everywhere he's been, he's always been like good. I don't know why guys like that just can't stick on teams because this guy is fast as lightning. He's tall. He's played running back for certain teams. He's played wide receiver. He's played tight ends for certain teams. He's like a do it all, and yet every year he changes. Let me go to his. I swear, let me go to his bio. Right, every single season it's a different one. Here we go, stats. Starts out with Minnesota, right? I remember that. He was going to be the next great, Justin Jefferson. Goes to the Raiders for a year. Goes to New England for a year. Goes to the Bears. I forgot about. Goes to the Bears for 2 years. Goes to the Falcons for 3 years. And now he's on Pittsburgh for a year. So 6 different teams after he leaves Minnesota. Just can't seem to find a home.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of where's Waddle, where's Patterson at? So obviously getting a touchdown today, right? 17-17, Scott, what are we doing with this game? 3.5 is our spread right now. Steelers have momentum.
2 things, right? I don't want to jinx ourselves, but we got to mention the first one because, Joe and I, give a lot of recommendations, and I always consider it a winning recommendation when you can hedge. Now, it's up to you to hedge. So if you don't and it ends up being a loser, well, that's on you. We're going to give you a play in which you're going to be able to bail out or get a middle or something along those lines. So I bring that up, Joe, because remember what we said. Take Pittsburgh plus the 560. Little hunch, nothing crazy, right? I said it's not a bad idea. This figures to be a close game. You're getting a monster number. And the idea is to get Baltimore to be less than a 560 favorite, and then you can bet, Baltimore. Well, that's the case right now. All right, Pittsburgh's tied, and Baltimore's only minus 265. So if you got the plus 560 ticket, 540, we'll just say 5-1, keep it nice. Now you can bet Baltimore at minus 265. You can bet it to a certain point where you're going to make a profit, or you can just bet the same amount. This way you get a free bet on Pittsburgh if you want. But you can definitely bail out of that. And then the other one, Joe, is the Texas-Clemson game. We said not a bad hunch. Take Clemson plus 3.5 third quarter, right? Well, Clemson's that. Ooh, Clemson. We got a little update on Texas Clemson, boys. We got a little sound there for that one. Yes, I like that. Clemson touchdown. So forget about just covering the 3.5. They're now leading by 4 in the third quarter with 3.5 minutes left. So 31-17, and the game is obviously not over. And if you hit that 16.5, Joe, bingo. There you go. It's a winner already. Love that 16.5. That was a bad number. They were bound to score again. 1 touchdown. That's why I said they will wait until 17.5 was tempting and all that other stuff. But eventually, a lot of times that number will come down to the number that you really need to take advantage of. And fortunately, it did with this one.
Yeah, and beautiful receiving touchdown there by Jarvis Green. So nice call on that 16.5. You were so patient on waiting on that. You got it, what, minus 125-ish, I believe it was coming in at. It was a really nice cash. So now can they not score at all? Because I have the under 17.5 for Clemson going into this game, Scott. I'm going to be sweating this one out. There's a lot of time left in this game.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Sorry, Joe.
That's okay. I jumped in with you on the 16.5. So I took the over 16.5 because you knew it was coming. That first half, it was just dangerous out there. And I want to see what the books are now actually moving that total for Clemson to. They finally took it all the way up to 23.5, minus 110 to the under, minus 120 to the over. They think Clemson's going to continue to score now, finally, Scott. And they've taken Texas, still sitting at 38.5.
Yeah. So it's another touchdown. Can you get another touchdown into Clemson? Now by the way, while it's still in play because Clemson's up 2 scores, it's not quite as much in play when you're up 3 scores. When you're up 3 scores, you're really just don't let anything behind you. Don't worry about if they catch a pass. Who cares, But when you're up 2, it's kind of like with the onside kick, as we saw last night with Indiana. Teams do recover these onside kicks. It's little tighter defense. But, you got a whole quarter here. So you have the entire fourth quarter. I probably wouldn't. I think I'll take my, if I didn't have it before, maybe I would do it. But since we had the 16.5, I think I'll take my profits and go home and let that one be. The Texas one is the one I'm a little concerned with now. Now are they going to get a touchdown and a field goal?
Oh, so they've got to be able to. They got to be able to answer back in here. They can't let Clemson hold this momentum. You did take Clemson in that third quarter, Scott. Clemson in the third quarter laying the 3.5. So right now that is covering. We got 3 minutes and 29 seconds left in that third quarter. So great call on that. Let's see if they can hold on to this lead. So I'm seeing Texas now 1st and 10. So we'll see what Texas answers back with, but Clemson's defense, if they can come up with a big stop, this should take you into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, I was getting 3.5, believe it or not.
Oh,
with
you were
Clemson.
getting it?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why.
Better.
You know why? I think because Texas got the ball first, but I didn't necessarily care. I thought that was a halfway decent play. So, so as long as they, don't go for 2, even on a touchdown, we're good with that bet. So, Baltimore's on the move down to the Pittsburgh 7-yard line. Nice job by Derrick Henry. But see, again, when they get Derrick Henry the football, I don't know why, John Harbaugh is so stubborn. This is your best offensive player, bar none, including Lamar. Yeah. Get him the ball. So they threw a little screen to him. He took it about 40 yards. He's got 27 yards rushing, close to 90 yards, or 27 yards receiving, close to 90 yards rushing. I would just give him the ball 3 times here inside the 10. You could stop him 3 times, God bless you. But something tells me they scored.
Stopping Derrick Henry 3 times. Yeah, you're not stopping Derrick Henry 3 times in a row, that's for sure.
And if you are, then you can blame your offensive line, for stinking. So 2nd and 6 for the Pittsburgh 7. Laying 6.5, over under 54. Yep, they did score. Yeah, see, it's amazing. You do this long enough, I saw the over under go up to 54.5 before they even moved the score, and I was like, that's 3 touchdowns. That means they scored. They had to have scored, and they did. Your boy, how about that?
Yes, it was Mark Andrews. I'm so glad to see that. Right?
Very nice.
We needed.
We both capitalized. I got another touchdown. There you go. Another time, wide open too. Why? I mean, there was no one near him. Man, you and I could have made that pass. Wow.
Oh, I know.
All right.
Beautiful.
So what that would be? Well, we got to take a break. We'll come back and find out how much Joe capped out with those odds. In-game live for game day.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all, because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. the New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Pro Football Game Day here on the grid. Hour number 3 of our 4-hour extravaganza. Scott and Joe covering the NFL and college scene, getting some points in both games. There was a concern about this Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, even though I did like the under, but it is a little easier to do in-game live stuff when we have some points and different bets to bet on. So with that said, Baltimore does score before the break, as we discussed. Lamar Jackson, touchdown pass to Mark Andrews. They take a 24-17 lead. Back to the 6.5. Boy, the back and forth numbers, you could really have done some solid middles here. The money line back up to 650. So if you were going to hedge, the time to do it was before when we brought it up. And in the over-under, Joe, is 53.5. How much was your Mark Andrews ticket worth?
Yeah, Mark Andrews, it wasn't as much value as you would have got on some other players, but plus 195. And like you always say, if you start a sentence with a plus, you got to love it. So Mark Andrews at plus 195. And then we also got his 4th reception of the day. So one leg of the parlay down. Hopefully you guys bet it outside of the parlay because it was plus 122 over 3.5 receptions for Mark Andrews as well. So loving what we're seeing out of him on the field today, Scott.
All right, not bad. You said it, plus almost 2-1, not bad. And how your SGP must be doing fairly well, right?
Yeah, so I've got 2 legs of the parlay down, as long as nothing moves here. So I was looking at Zay Flowers over 22.5 for his longest reception. That has yet to come in. His longest reception has only been 14. And it's kind of in jeopardy here with the Baltimore Ravens down, but they're only down or up by a touchdown. So with them only up by a touchdown, they're not going to take their foot off the gas. Lamar is still going to have to move the ball nice and deep. So I still think we have a chance with Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews, that has come in. They can't take those receptions away from us. And then Jaylen Warren is where I'm looking. Now, Jaylen Warren right now, I took him over 25 plus receiving yards for him. He has 3 receptions for 38. So he has gone over that number right now. They can't take those receiving yards away. Can they really? No, because his receiving yards can't. The rushing yards will go down as the game goes on if they lose yards. Receiving yards, right. Is he going to scramble backwards, though? He could scramble backwards and lose some of those yards.
Yeah, like maybe it's like a screen pass, that he catches behind the line of scrimmage and then, gets tackled right away, loses 5 yards. That would count as a catch and minus 5 yards. Yeah, you talk about bad beats. Like we've all experienced stuff like that. That would be a bad beat. That would be tough if they actually made that and then end up, throwing a screen pass to the poor guy and he loses yards. Yeah. Oh, that would be tough. So
you never count anything a winner until it is, right? You can't count it as a winner until it comes in. And there's a lot of time left in this game for him to screw up the parlay. So let's hold our fingers crossed with those other 2 legs.
Yep. Mine's in trouble. My SGP's in a little bit of trouble here. Really just because of one, and this is why I generally don't play unders, but I did bump it up to 47.5, so still technically it's alive. But I had Pittsburgh plus the 7. We're okay there. We're down 7. But I had the under 47.5, and right now 24-21, so we're at 41. We got a whole quarter left here. Could we get a couple of field goals versus touchdowns? Maybe, hopefully. But Lamar throwing 175 yards. He's at 158, so that's looking pretty good with a quarter left. Najee Harris over 45.5 yards rushing. He's got 36, I believe, right? The 39, so that's looking pretty good. I need a touchdown, though, at a Derrick Henry, and that's the problem. If I get a touchdown at a Derrick Henry, then that means the game's going over. So for all intents and purposes, unless he scores a touchdown and they miss the extra point. That's just from a gambling standpoint, I'm still alive. Like if they wanted to give me a bailout, a little cash out, I'd be willing to accept that, FanDuel. But technically, that could occur. Maybe miss the extra point. Tucker's been struggling this year, blocked, something along those lines. And then it saves the under 47.5, and he gets his touchdown. So,
Oh, I
clinging to
definitely
that
think
show.
it's still possible, right? I'm going to cling to that for you as well because it's a possibility and I think it could happen. But Clemson does have the ball back. They are 2nd and 2, I'm seeing right now on Texas's 21-yard line. Clemson is threatening again.
Wow.
What has happened to Texas's defense? Did they just get sloppy in the second half, or has Clemson really found out a solid way to be able to hit them here? This is nuts.
Well, I don't know. You're right. Colby liked Clemson. He said he liked them originally, and he was willing to double down when it was plus 23.5, plus 24.5. And now it's only down to plus 13.5. Again, don't know if they would be going for any field goals. Maybe with this much time left, but still, either way, they score here. Now you're only down 1. You talk about disaster for Texas. Holy fudge. That would be like, man. What happened to that great Texas defense? I was more concerned about the offense and Quinn Ewers, but really it's been the defense. They give it up a ton of yards. Let me give the exact numbers here, but it's got to be over 300 yards total offense for Clemson. They got it at the 11 now. First down, not first to goal, but first down at the 11. Yeah, they've 299, so almost 300 yards through 3 quarters plus. Klubnik has thrown for 233, and they've run for 69. So 299 yards. They're on pace for a 400-yard game against this Texas defense. Boy, that's surprising.
That is really surprising. Could they, do you see a path for them to pull off the upset right now, Scott? If they score on this drive, they're only down by, 1 score? If they score in this drive, it's plus 1,400 right now for Clemson to come back, pull off that upset win. I think I'd rather look at them plus the 13.5. This still is Texas, but Texas in the second half hasn't shown up. They've got a field goal on the board. They're not stopping Clemson. Clemson driving down the field. Plus 1,400 is a lot. It's value. It's dropping now. It's plus 1,300. The books are getting nervous on this one, Scott.
Yeah, 3 possessions for Texas. You remember the first one was the field goal, and then 2 punts. They got a couple first downs on each drive, but nothing crazy. Yeah, I tell you what, that money line right now, again, kind of with the Pittsburgh Steelers, grab them at 13-1. Any kind of luck they score here, they just locked it up. But if they could score here, then that number is going to come way down. And then if they stop Texas and get the ball back, then that money line, 17-1, something bad happened.
Okay.
That's not good. It doesn't go from 13 to 17-1 unless something bad happens. We'll let you know what when we come back. In-game live from Football GameDay.
There's a better chance the Raiders might stumble into a win because of who they're playing over the next few weeks than the Giants, who I don't think will win.
I don't believe for 1 minute that they want to win a game. I do not believe that the New York Football Giants want to win a game at all because it will cost them dearly. In fact, they will continue to suck for years to come if they screw this up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All righty, yes. Boy, I tell you, more times than not, we go to commercials and someone scores, whether it's Baltimore or in this case, the Clemson Tigers. 4th down from the 7, 4th and 6. They go for it, obviously down 14, touchdown pass. And with the extra point, Joe, it is now Texas 31, Clemson 24. Wow, still getting 9-1. I'm surprised on the money line. The number is 8.5, which is more than what they're leading, which I'm surprised with as well. And then the over/under is 64.5. And oh, by the way, we got Baltimore on the move, first and goal at the Pittsburgh 9, thanks to a long run by Derrick Henry. So this is getting interesting in this college football game. It really is amazing.
It really is. And we look at that money line and how things shifted. Before we went to break, we were looking at plus 1,400, and all of a sudden, what happened? What happened?
Lamar took
taken right out.
I took points from my fantasy team. We talked about losing points, right? Interception in the – I don't know, who's he throwing the ball to? Just give the ball, Joe, to Derrick Henry. How many times do I got to say it? This guy couldn't throw out of a paper bag. How many years is Baltimore and John Harbaugh going to fall apart in the playoffs because he continues to think Lamar Jackson is a quarterback? He's not. He's a running back playing the quarterback position. He stinks throwing the ball. It was a little 5-yard pass. It wasn't like, throw the ball downfield. Who knows, guy cuts and no. This was a little dump ball pass, 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, and he threw it to no one except the Pittsburgh Steeler. You win the game. You score a touchdown there. You go up 2 scores. You win the game, Joe.
Yeah. But for Steelers fans, they're definitely happy out there with Pittsburgh coming away with that pick. Lamar throwing that interception. You touched on Lamar for the interception. That has to make you happy because you did jump on Lamar for that interception at what? Plus 180, plus 200, almost. It got up to plus 350 at one point. So,
yeah, I got
crazy.
240. Yeah, I know. You figured one of these two dudes were going to throw it. Right now, you just need Russell to throw, and then we'll really be in hog heaven. I don't get it, Joe. It's like a broken record. And it's Pittsburgh or Baltimore has not won a game in which just check that. All the losses Baltimore has, Lamar or Derrick Henry has rushed for under 20 yards. That's you draw the line in the sand. When the dude rushes for 20 more, they win every single game. He's got 17 carries for 133 yards. He's averaging almost 8 yards a carry. Right? You got it first and goal. Give the dude the ball 3 times, like we talked about before. If you could stop this guy 3 times, then God bless you, we'll kick a field goal and take a 10-point lead. Instead, he seems hell-bent on making this Lamar. He just wants to keep this Lamar Jackson's team. He's going to ride Lamar Jackson into the ground. He's never going to win a Super Bowl with this guy, and he's going to scratch his head at the end of 10 years and say, gee, I wonder what happened. This is what happened. You're stubborn. You're forcing the ball, Lamar. I mean,
I'm sure you're stubborn in your own ways, Scott. I'm sure there's something your wife tells you to do all the time. You're just no, I'm gonna throw it instead of running it there with Derrick Henry. Like, I'm sure there's a situation where you could say you're kind of stubborn as well.
But that's borderline stupid. That's just as borderline stupid. If the guy was rushing for 17 yards, or 17 carries for 50 yards, I'd say, okay, I understand. But as a team, you run the ball for 191 yards. What's the worst thing that can happen? Right? You don't score, but then the clock runs. Okay, that's all right. We'll run it 3 times. I'll take 2 minutes off the clock. I'll take a 10-point lead and give Pittsburgh the ball with 10 minutes left. That's the worst case scenario.
Well, I hope some people did Derrick Henry's lines today because he's already at 133 rushing yards, 17 carries. You're right. He just needs to run the ball.
Yeah. Scoring update from the college game, I understand. No sounder?
Maybe.
Maybe.
No sounder.
Oh, no. We boycotted. There you go. There you go. We got a Texas sounder. I like that. We got to get a picture of Matthew McConaughey. Use that if we don't have a sounder.
Yeah.
So Texas scored, but that didn't take long. And they're not that we need any more points being scored, but there clearly goes the under. 37-24 Texas lead tonight. More coming up.